Assalamu alaikum and welcome to The Report with me, Yasmin Khatoon. On tonight's programme, we'll be taking a look at the story of Britain Mohammed Emwazi as details continue to emerge of the young man's route to IS. We also take a look at the current situation in Syria as the opposition reject the UN proposed 6-week ceasefire. But first, government forces working with Sunni and Shia groups have launched a major offensive against the IS group in the Salahuddin province. Sarah Sai has been following the story.
Iraqi government forces, backed by allied Shia and Sunni fighters, cheer at the beginning of a large-scale military operation to recapture the province of Salahuddin from the Islamic State group. Over the weekend, as many as 30,000 soldiers intensified their build-up to Salahuddin's capital, Tikrit, approaching the town from 3 directions. Their aim is to free the captured towns and areas of the predominantly Sunni province, which is the hometown of the former dictator Saddam Hussein. The Iraqi Prime Minister, who is also the Commander-in-Chief of the Iraqi Armed Forces, is in Samarra, an important town in the Salahuddin province, to personally direct the operation. In a statement today, he said, "God willing, we will start an important military campaign to liberate the citizens of Salahuddin province, which includes Samarra, Duluya, Balad, Dujal, El Alam, Iddur, Tikrit, and other areas in the province from the Islamic State group." The bombardment had in fact started overnight, with heavy artillery, mortars, tanks and short-range missiles targeting the town of Dur and surrounding areas some 150 kilometres north of the Iraqi capital of Baghdad, leaving destruction across all neighbourhoods of the almost empty town. Regaining control of the Salahuddin province would be a boost to the government forces ahead of a larger planned battle for the recapture of the northern city of Mosul, currently under control of the Islamic State group.
Joining me to discuss the topic, Dr. Rebwar Fatah, Director of Middle East Consultancy Services, Paul Schult, Honorary Professor at Birmingham University, and Ahmed Al-Mahmoud from the Iraqi Spring Media Centre. Brother Ahmed, can I come to you first? Who exactly are these forces?
Well, you just played a movie, and the first thing they shouted was Labbaik ya Hussein, which is clearly a sectarian slogan carried out by militias. These are actually militias. They are led by Qasim Soleimani and Hadi al-Amri. Both of them have been fighting the Iraqi army previously in the Iran-Iraq war on the Iranian side. This is not an operation against ISIS. I've just been calling a lot of Sunni tribal leaders who are based in Erbil and Amman, and some of them are even in Dor, which is just south of Tikrit. They're all looking at this as another city being destroyed under the name of combating ISIS. And this is a really big problem. Sunnis are being killed, massacred in Jaffa Sakhar and Diyala under the same slogan. And here again, we have this issue. The American administration is getting wary of the militias. Although they have no boots on the ground, they have had to rely on them to do all the dirty work on the ground. But as you know, Iran has its own interests in Iraq, and that is not necessarily anything positive that the Sunnis would look at.
Okay, Ahmed, let me put that just to the men in the studio. Paul, Ahmed there saying that this is not a fight against IS.
Well, people doing it would say that it was. I mean, the problem of sectarian politics is long-term, and it's certainly something to worry about. But I think the majority of those people involved in this fight that's rather importantly going on would say they're doing it to liberate that province and eventually Mosul from IS.
Rebwar, Ahmed also said that the Americans are also wary of some of these militia groups.
That's true. I think American is worried about the sectarian nature of the conflict, but they cannot really do anything about it. Just following from what Ahmed said, it is true a sectarian war, but the sectarian conflict, the sectarian war is to eliminate ISIS, because ISIS is also a sectarian group. They are not Iraqi nationalists, are they?
So what do you see as the expectations for this particular offensive?
Well, Tikrit, of course, a very important place to be captured. It's a Sunni town, and it's controlled by Islamic State militia, if you like. But if Shia militia, so-called Sha'bi, if they can control it, it will be a big boost for Ibadi's, if you like, Shia government. But and maybe they move from there to other places.
And there are Sunni militia fighting ISIL and local tribes who are largely Sunni. So it isn't that simple. I mean, nothing in Iraq is that simple.
Iran's role. What exactly is Iran's role in this?
It wants to push back the Islamic State.
Ahmed?
Yeah, the Sunnis that he's talking about are actually tribes. There are three. There's Sahwas, and these Sahwas are from the Jabur, Al-Jughaifa, and Al-Bunimar. And these three, the same tribes, you would see people from them who are actually in ISIS and actually in other resistance factions like the Military Council and the tribal fighters. So it's not as naive as, oh, the tribes are with us. The tribes are not with you. The tribes are against you. And that's why most of the leaders of the tribes are not buying this story of, oh, we're fighting ISIS. They're all sitting, because they have been enemies of ISIS previously, they're sitting in Erbil, they're sitting in Amman, they're also being, thrown out. But at the same time, they have no other option other than either you are with us against ISIS or we're going to punish you once we take your cities. There is clear evidence that there were mass killings in Jurf al-Sakhar, in Barwana, in Diyala, other parts of Diyala, and the Peshmerga were kind enough to document a lot of these atrocities, from looting to rape to killing. These militias are not following any doctrine other than hatred, and they've been supported quite well by Sistani, who is, by the way, an Iranian at the end of the day. So there's a lot of Iranian hallmark in the whole mess that we're in now. And let us not forget that ISIS is actually a result of continued failures. If you do not reach to real Sunnis and not Sahwads that are brought in for a few dollars to put them on TV and say, these are the sheikhs of the Sunnis, we are not going to get into a solution. We will be dealing with what is worse than ISIS in a very short period of time.
Paul, I can see you wanting to come in there.
Well, my point was, first of all, it's not on that analysis. It's not clear what you do, except say, okay, the IS has grabbed these places; they can sit in them forever because anything else would involve Shia militias who will be unpopular and maybe out of control.
You have to strengthen the Iraqi army.
Well, that's going on.
You have to bring back the Iraqi. It's not there. It's nowhere. The Minister of Defense, I have a friend in his office. He just called me. He said that the minister wants no part of it. He was actually just walked out of a meeting in Baghdad with the American ambassador. His home was raided by Sistani's militias only 3 days ago. What kind of Minister of Defense has the self-respect to take an office and his own house is being raided by militias? Today, Iran controls Iraq. Iraq is under Iranian occupation, 100%. This fight of ISIS is only a slogan to lure American and Western support, and honestly, it's not working. The Americans have to find new friends in Iraq.
Ahmed, let's hear what both men in the studio have said, and we'll come back to you.
I agree mostly with what Ahmed is saying. It's a very complicated problem, and I don't believe there is an Iraqi national state in power now.
Who exactly is in charge of Tikrit at the moment?
It's a contested area. It's a fact. It's a conflict between, if you like, predominated Shia Iraqi government and also ISIS, who are mainly Sunni fundamentalists. I mean, you cannot deny that.
What role would Saddam Hussein's sort of loyalist groups be playing in this?
Well, at the moment they're said to be supporting IS, but Abadi's attempt by offering the last chance is an effort to bring them back. As far as they can be identified as a specific group, they do seem to be supporting IS. But of course, alongside them are IS fighters who aren't even from Iraq at all.
Is this fight likely to be successful?
Probably, but too early to say. They're attacking from four sides. They've got a lot of firepower. All Iraqi firepower, apparently, and the Americans have said they're not flying missions.
I think militarily I think the problem is not a security problem. It's really a civil and social problem. I mean, you could go and invade Tikrit, but whether you're going to gain the minds and hearts of Sunni people in Tikrit, I think that's a different question. When you take, as Ahmed mentioned, when the Iraqi so-called troops having Lemack Hussein or having picture Imam Ali going towards the Sunni town, trying to invade, this is a declaration of a sectarian war. and people in that place would not be happy about that. The problem, I think we are approaching the wrong. I think we are just in the wrong place now, the wrong time, really. I mean, how are you going to bring the Sunni people? I don't mean militia. I mean Sunni people into the political process. I think that's probably the main question.
Ahmed, what is the significance of this battle?
Technically, I mean, I've been on the phone since morning. There's really not much that happened other than shelling. There's not been any pictures from the government side of them proving that they've entered the city 50%, because that's what they claimed an hour ago, and they have absolutely no pictures of it. Looking at the map from previous battles and how it's set up, as the gentleman kindly explained, that they've cornered from 4 sides, but they've got a river on their back, and there's a lot of obstacles. There's only one open area from the west side. So it's not as simple as they're trying to promote it. But what concerns me is actually the aftermath. I'm not saying that they can't take it. They could take it. They could just fight it out, lose 10 times the numbers, and take the city. That's not the problem. The issue I have is that after they take Tikrit, and I want you to quote me on this, they will declare Samarra a province on its own, and that will increase the Iranian influence in Samarra, because you will have a lot of Iranian presence, even more trade, because of the Imam al-Askari shrine. It will become a business. It will become a business hub just like Najaf. And Sunnis are not going to take this property. The reason Sunnis look defranchised is because they've been targeted for over 12 years as Ba'athis, as ISIS, as Al-Qaeda, as you name it. And tomorrow they're going to invent another name for them. But the real solution is to push Iran out, to strengthen the Abadi government, not just have a government that just looks nice, to actually get Maliki into court, to make him pay for the 8 years of corruption and killings that he's responsible. This guy is running the show still today. Maliki is strong. He operates with impunity, and he has absolutely no responsibilities. He's actually more free-handed in hitting back at anyone who disagrees with him.
Rabbi, you were nodding there. Do you agree?
I mean, I agree with that. I said on this program, people like Malik should be behind bars, really, but he still managed to stay in power. Not just that, he keeps his security forces. That includes prison, that includes militias and so on. And this is really a major problem. How are we going to solve the problem of the Iraqi state? How are we going to build? I think the main question is how to going to build an Iraqi nationalist state, and I think the jury is out of that one. And I don't believe under the current conflict anything happens, because all the political forces now, they are there because they are managing a problem. They're managing a conflict, not to build in a state, not to build in a country. And I really don't have any faith in anybody's government either. I think he won't be better than, this government will not be better than Maliki's one. But I don't know how you're going to solve that. You have elections they're going to win, and because it's just majority, elections takes a majority. And
before we move on, is this seen as a precursor to the battle in Mosul?
If it goes well, yes. Some people have been talking about Mosul as early as April. Others, perhaps more realistic, and I think this is where the Americans are at now, are saying not until the autumn. But I think a couple of points that need to be made. Of course, this is not just a military thing. It's a political and military problem. But unless IS has stopped and being pushed back, I don't know how you begin to improve the other politics, which are all driven by the fear of IS. And it's true that maybe Maliki should be behind bars, and it's not clear how much influence he's still unofficially exercising. But in Iraq now, so many of the major political figures, and sometimes military and religious figures, should be behind bars if we were applying normal international standards of justice. But you decapitate the entire Iraqi political class if you did that.
Okay, well, of course, we will be following developments with this story, but I'm afraid that's all we have time for on this particular topic. Do stay with us for the second part of the programme. We'll be taking a look at the rest of the day's top stories and what you've been saying on Twitter. See you after the break.